It started with an ominous cloud of smoke in Boulder County.
Fire broke out south of Boulder just after 11 this morning. Since then, nearly 600 homes have been burned, making it Colorado's most destructive wildfire in just a matter of hours.
Now it might just look like one home, but this is a family's home that 12 hours ago was standing. This has now been reduced to rubble.
I'm Kevin Lombardo.
I'm Casey Lombardo, and we're Marshall Fire survivors.
We're originally from the East Coast in New Jersey, and moved out here for a much kind of slower pace, more purposeful. Kind of just dropped everything and moved out to Colorado.
Figured no kids, why not make the leap? And we didn't have anything when we moved out here. We found an apartment online. We didn't have any friends, family, jobs, nothing like that. It's a very smart move.
Right.
Everything we do is kind of a little bit of nerve-wracking and exciting and an adventure, and as long as we're doing it together.
This is our second house in Colorado, where we were raising our two kids, Max and Miles, who are 10 and 7 now, respectively.
Yep. When we moved up here, our oldest was 4 and our youngest was 3 months, and there were tons of kids. So it was a really nice area to come and be welcomed by a lot of families and just have the kids play outside, and other kids would come outside, and we had a bouncy castle in the backyard sometimes, or a slippery slide, and everyone was really welcoming. And even the folks that didn't have kids, that the empty nesters or the ones that chose not to have kids, were also welcoming. It's just a really great community. We had our neighbor in the backyard playing like usual. They were all just playing in the backyard, and my girlfriend called and said that she felt like there was a fire moving our way and that we should pack. We had seen the yellow hue and stuff on the ground, but I just dismissed it because we've become so accustomed to forest fires and the fires, smoke coming from California and from Canada. It just was just like any other day. But then when I walked into the front, I saw the smoke.
We started packing pretty immediately.
Quickly.
We were still fairly sure everything was going to be okay.
I remember walking around the house with the boys, and they were telling me you should grab your wedding picture that's up on the wall. And I was like, it's kind of too big, we'll be back. There's no reason to grab art off the wall. But we did. We felt like this is just going to blow over like any other forest fire. It's not going to hit us, and we'll be okay.
I've been in this business for 45 years, 30 of them along the Front Range. I've never seen anything like what we've witnessed today.
Mass evacuations in suburban Denver. Officers going door to door in Superior. A natural disaster unlike anything anyone in Colorado has ever seen.
We didn't learn that we had lost our house officially until the next day. We were in a hotel in Fort Collins, and Casey and I stayed up pretty much all night. We kind of got up in the morning and got some text messages and phone calls, and a friend of ours had driven by and said, sorry, it's a total loss. And even then, I didn't know what that meant. I guess I kind of thought well, certainly something is salvageable. But then I got a couple pictures from a friend of mine, just kind of the whole street, and it was just all gone. It was just, there was nothing recognizable left at all. In fact, he sent me pictures of the wrong lot because he couldn't even tell really where he was. So that was when we realized everything's gone and we have nothing to go back to, really.
I think for me, I just still didn't believe it. It felt really odd. It just felt like we were kind of in a movie and this wasn't really happening. And then even when Kevin told me it was a total loss at the hotel, I was like, no, it's not. No. I don't believe it. There's no way.
Right.
he moved into a house shortly after that hotel stay, and I didn't sleep at all. And a few of the women, the moms on the block, we would just text message like all night long, like 3 a.m., 2 a.m. Like it was just all night long. And I think during one of those group text messages, someone said they were talking to a contractor. And then the next morning I was like, oh my God, we should be talking to a contractor. Like we're just kind of trying to survive at that moment. We weren't thinking about building, but those text messages kind of led us to, oh, we should start thinking about this.
We didn't really know how to build a house. I mean, we didn't even really understand the difference between production builders and custom builders, and that there were different types of builders even. Yeah. Certainly we were not the type of people to really pick out a custom home. I mean, we weren't. I had always kind of associated that with, high-end custom, super wealthy people and high-end finishes and, marble and things like that. After seeing the response of the community ultimately coming together and all the support and all the love and the stuff and everything to just help out people in need, I mean, of course, we want to continue to be part of that. I mean, just what a great place to be and what a great group of people we've got around us. When it came to the discussion of building codes and fire hardening buildings, that's where things got a little bit strange. A month or two before the fire, Louisville had passed the 2021 IECC building codes. This happened, and as a lot of people were talking to contractors and builders, they were hearing that that's way too expensive to build to. That standard is, might not even be possible. They don't want to do it. They won't do it. You really got to push on the town and the county to rescind that and let people build back to the 2018 building code. So the three municipalities did end up allowing folks to rebuild to a 2018 building code. They also dropped the requirements for fire sprinklers inside the houses. One thing that really shone bright was how underinsured everybody was. A lot of folks, us included, were not covered sufficiently to rebuild our houses, and so that made rebuilding that much more expensive, coupled by just unprecedented building costs in Boulder County. So it was this kind of perfect storm of, well, we can't really afford to build back our homes, certainly not to the 2021 standard, so maybe to the 2018 standard. That would make things better. Of course, as you continue to downgrade building codes, those typically equate to lesser fire hardening capabilities for the structure. So instead of reverting back to the 2018 codes, I would have preferred to see the municipalities maybe hold strong on 2021. And then, if anything, maybe subsidize the cost of training to get builders trained up on how to build a 2021, even passive house if they were willing to learn. And that doesn't just solve this problem and this wildfire, that solves building for that builder, and that builder can go on and build higher performing homes down the line. Well, we've been conscious of the environment for a very long time, and so this kind of just made sense to us that this is what we have to do. This is our small part in something much bigger that we can do to help maybe combat climate change, also build sustainably and more healthily. No dust and no bugs was huge. That was a huge selling point. That was during the webinar of from the Colorado Green Building Guild, where they said, imagine a house with no dust, and we were like, oh gosh, that's incredible, yeah. And as time progressed, of course, we've been getting we have had other wildfires in Colorado. We've gotten a lot of smoke from Canada just this past year, just a few weeks ago, and thinking about things like that and how bad the air quality is really outside anymore on any given day, really makes us thankful that we're building a house that's going to have fresh filtered air 24/7 and a really, really low AQI.
Another huge selling point on the passive house was, God forbid there were another fire and it was nearby where we could potentially get smoke damage. we would probably have little to none with a passive house. And that feels good.
Yeah. There are people that are still not back in their houses because of the smoke and ash damage that happened because of a house that caught fire right next to theirs, but theirs didn't. And they're still struggling to get those cleaned and everything like that. Whereas with local community members who were able to be back in their house the next day. Passive house is inherently somewhat more fire hardened, right? So there's a couple aspects of that. The tightness of the envelope, the air sealing prevents embers from getting sucked into it. That's oftentimes how houses burn in a wildfire. The embers get, sucked in through vents, a lot of holes in the house because the negative pressure inside the house is sucking all these things in, and it ends up burning from the inside out.
With a passive house, the envelope goes to the highest peak, so there are no venting anywhere in the peaks or on the roof of your house.
The roof lines are also simple. The shape of passive houses tend to be a lot simpler. This house here is basically going to be a rectangle, and so that's going to be very simple. And so there's not a lot of nooks and crannies where embers can get stuck. Us personally, we're also having materials that are put on our house that are more fire resilient. We're having steel siding, fire-treated wood. The windows, that's another big piece that's performance and also fire hardening. They're triple pane windows, so they'll be more resistant to things that are hitting it and possibly breaking it in a wildfire situation. It's important to note that in our wildfire, the winds had gusted up to, I think, 110 miles per hour. So we had firefighters saying that they were seeing, flaming beams just sailing through the air. But I will say that the passive house community, it's incredible. You talk to a builder and they're not necessarily just gunning for your business, right? They're gunning for you to build a passive house. And it almost doesn't matter if you end up building with them or not. They just want to see you build a passive house, and they all have a vested interest in making sure these projects get certified and making sure the homes get built to the right standards. And so it really is this niche in the construction industry where it's not so cutthroat, and it's not like you'll meet with one builder and they'll tell you what you want to hear just to get your business. They'll tell you what's real and what's possible, and if you build with them, then cool. If not, then also cool.
Yeah, we've also became pretty close with some of the builders that we interviewed who we didn't choose. And they're like, hey, are you doing like whatever, X, Y, and Z?
Yeah.
Hey, you should tell your builder about like this. I heard about this, and I think it'll be cool for your build.
It's funny, a lot of people say, well, you get to build your dream home. It's like, well, no, you kind of save for your dream home and you think about for a while, to build your dream home. And, but yeah, it has become, it's a dream that I think we didn't know we had, home.
Yes.
Yeah.
We want to be old and look back at this time and be like, yeah, we made the choices that we felt were the best for ourselves, for the community, for the earth, for climate change, like for our kids. It felt like we needed to make a choice today, be able to look back and be proud of what we did.